Okay, gang, let's be honest with each other here. This shot in the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, yeah, there's 3 Spider-Men there. Like, don't try to play me, Marvel. I'm onto your tricks. Seems like every trailer for an MCU property contains some sort of sleight of hand to make us hyped, only to sweep our leg in the film itself, or just to hide them sweet, sweet plot twists. Let's take a look at 10 of those filthy liars. First up, probably the biggest example of Marvel just plain screwing with our expectations, Avengers Infinity War. Off the top of my head, there's a bunch of stones missing from the Infinity Gauntlet, giving the viewer less context as to when the hell this moment with Cap is supposed to take place and whether Thanos has achieved his goal. This shot suggests the Hulkbuster armor is maybe in need of repair, which is not the case, and either way, it never shows up in the movie. There's also a whole bunch of eye patches to ensure no one gets spoiled that Thor receives a cybernetic eye, which, okay. Lots of little stuff, like I guess they just wanted to surprise us, or the effects weren't done for this swinging sequence where Spider-Man has cool spider legs and Mantis in tow in the final film. The shot of Shuri is different, and of course, the big one, the one that really drove people crazy and was arguably more shocking than Thanos wiping out half of all living beings. This shot of Hulk running with everyone else in Wakanda is completely fabricated to make us think Hulk appears in the film past the opening sequence. Filthy liars. In the Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, we get this shot of Spidey in his normal suit, designed by Tony Stark. But in the final film, we get a different Stark suit, the Iron Spider variant. This is, I guess, meant to not spoil Endgame, which... sure. I feel like just the act of Far From Home existing before Endgame premiered kinda spoils things either which way, but what do I know? I work for a YouTube channel, and Kevin Feige is rich enough to own whole countries. Speaking of Endgame, there's this shot of Thor powering up Stormbreaker, which doesn't appear in the final film. It could have conceivably been a part of the opening in which he goes all nope on Thanos' arm, but let's be honest with ourselves, it's just to hide the fact that Thor gets all chunky.
I'm not done.
This is one I kinda appreciate, because it's not lying to the audience per se, so much as it is leaving out some key details. Technically, Fit Thor is in the film, and by presenting us with this image in the trailer, we're predisposed to the idea that he'll be fit for the whole film, only for everyone to laugh their asses off when Fat Thor is finally revealed. In Spider-Man Homecoming, Tony Stark and Peter Parker get to explore not only their father-son relationship, but also how Peter has to grow to fully understand what it takes to be a superhero. This, of course, would suggest perhaps some sort of team-up within the film, and the trailer even suggested that would happen with this shot of them cruising through the skies of New York. Unfortunately, that just does not happen in any way, shape, or form, making this quality shot the equivalent of that moment in the Rogue One trailer where Jyn Erso is all like, "I'ma fight this TIE fighter!" And we were all like, "Oh hell yeah, she gonna fight that TIE fighter!" And then the movie came out and we were all like, "Where the heck is that TIE fighter at?" In a bid to piss off, I don't know, Captain Kirk I guess, the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy features this quick shot of a topless Gamora, but it's not there. There's equal opportunity here though. There's also this shirtless shot of Chris Pratt, added in despite the fact that the film already has a topless Star-Lord. Obviously this was meant to goad all us pervs into thinking we were going to see some action between Andy Dwyer and Neytiri, as the fanfiction.net prophecy foretold long ago. Much to the chagrin of, I don't know, probably a whole bunch of Redditors, it did not come to pass. There's also 2 shots that suggest Drax is part of the group before they're sent to prison, which I'm sure fooled a handful of people into expecting a bit more team building before all the, team building. Back to Thor for a second, the MCU trailers have a lot more fake Thor eye junk in them than you'd expect. First was Thor Ragnarok, which of course features a whole bunch of shots of Thor with his eye still firmly within its socket, despite taking place after Hela yeeted that sucker out of his skull. Of course, that one's super simple, just don't CGI in that gaping wound. This of course led to the censored eye in Infinity War, which if you look closely is actually pretty ramshackle. That's very, like, we all should have known he was getting a new eye. I guess none of us really cared.
Now you remind me of Dad.
Okay, this one I'm not sure really fooled anyone outside of those who I guess expected there to be some Falcon in an Ant-Man movie, and then they saw the trailer and were like, I guess I'm wrong, whatever. But in the first Ant-Man movie, there is that fun little scene wherein Scott Lang tries to break into Avengers HQ, only to go toe-to-toe with Anthony Mackie's Falcon, presumably left to house it while the other Avengers are out doing Avengers stuff. Joke's on them, of course. Dude was just biding his time until he could become Captain America. Natch. Anyway, in the trailer, that scene is taken and basically some intern just comped in Yellow Jacket over Falcon, so it seems like Scott is quipping with the big bad. Okay, I think we've gone long enough without mentioning what has to be the biggest fake out in MCU history. Sure, something like S.H.I.E.L.D. being run by Hydra and Winter Soldier is pretty big, but there wasn't really any fooling in the marketing for that film. They just didn't spoil it, which is cool, thank you. But also, after rewatching that trailer, I gotta say, it's pretty obvious that S.H.I.E.L.D. are the bad guys. Anyway, the big fake out has to be Iron Man 3, and the twist that the Mandarin is in fact a fake, portrayed by English actor Trevor Slattery.
Bloody hell, bloody hell.
This is one that I know some hate and some love. I'm in the latter category. Iron Man 3 is easily top 5 MCU movies for me, and just shreds so hard.
Did you just nod off?
And not gonna lie, part of that is the excellent Mandarin twist. I know a lot of people don't like subversion, but in this case, quality subversion. In the trailers, we really layer on how villainous the Mandarin is, and we even get this very direct shot of the Captain America tattoo, which serves seemingly zero purpose in the final film. Of course, the in-universe explanation, as provided by director Shane Black, is that it's part of the character created by our true villain, Aldrich Killian.
I am the Mandarin!
And as eagle-eyed viewers have no doubt noticed, that tracks. The A is presented as the symbol for anarchy, thereby representing a corruption of Captain America as a symbol for like American values and freedom and stuff. You get the sense that there's some kind of story there, something to really dig into to understand why Gandhi over here wound up as the world's #1 terrorist leader. The trailer as a whole has a dark, epic tone that's not really representative of the buddy cop action comedy that we wound up getting, even with the exploration of Tony's PTSD. There's also very little Aldrich Killian in the trailer, making us think that maybe Guy Pearce isn't as big a deal as he wound up being, if we even realize he's in the film. We never saw it coming. Because he says in the trailer, the thing, because... Oh, just roll the clip.
You'll never see me coming.
Speaking of tone, the Age of Ultron trailer pulled a similar trick by focusing on the dark, entrancing voice of James Spader, monologuing, and a creepy rendition of I Got No Strings from Pinocchio over various images of team dissolution, destruction, and generally apocalyptic images like Thor's hammer falling and ballerinas doing their tippy-toe thing, you know. That's that old chestnut. It's all very dramatic. The film itself, you know, it's not devoid of drama by any means, but it is far more lighthearted, and Ultron is not nearly as frightening as he's presented. What we're led to expect is an unholy annihilation of the world, basically. But what we get is a whole lot of jokes, and sure, the destruction of Sokovia's capital city. And hey, that's a pretty big deal going forward, and propels the overall narrative of the MCU, but it's kinda lackluster in the moment. And finally, one of the newest entries to close us out, Loki, specifically King Loki, as seen in the trailer for the show's 5th episode, and featured absolutely nowhere. Just a bald-faced lie. Well, kinda. While the image, of course, is meant to evoke the possibility of an alternate dimension Loki who rules the Asgardian throne, or perhaps our Loki seeking what is rightfully his, either which way, it's not there. And that's because it was cut. The idea was that it would be a part of Loki reviewing his life and would tie into Frog Thor, at least according to show composer Natalie Holt. Of course, this begs the question as to where this would have fit into our Loki's timeline, and if it was a variant, why it would be included in his reel, and... Oh god, are they lying to us again? Is this a trick right now?
Sort of both.
And yeah, those Marvel sum guns You can't trust him. Just look at how the Eternals led us to believe Mr. Sexy Lips here was going to be the big bad and, like, have a full and interesting story. Fooled us.
I've apologized so many times.
Not quite enough times, very close though.
You should probably lie down.